We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for August 5th, 2020 of our regular meeting of the Governing Board. As soon as Mrs. Nye is ready, she'll do our roll call, and then we will move on to our Pledge of Allegiance. So,
Mrs. Marsden?
Here.
Ms. Bruner?
Here.
Mr. Evans?
Mr. Evans.
Here.
Ms. McGee?
Here.
And Ms. Love?
Here. Great. Thank you, Mrs. Nye. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and following that, just a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes of the July 15th, 2020 regular board meeting. I did not see any additions or corrections, and none were pointed out to us for that. So could I please get a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 15th, 2020 regular board meeting as presented.
I'll second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes of the July 15th, 2020 regular board meeting, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Our next order of business is to approval and ratification of payroll and expenditure vouchers. Could I get a motion, please?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve and ratify payroll for July 16th and 30th, 2020, and current expenditures.
I'll second.
All those in favor of approving and ratifying the payroll for July 16th and 30th, 2020, and the current expenditures, please say aye.
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 Great. Motion carries. Dr. Castillo, do we have any correspondence?
None this evening.
Thank you. Next is our consent agenda. Dr. Castillo.
Madam President, members of the board, your consent agenda has our monetary gifts in the amount of $40,250.77. Items that have been donated, $2,839.41. We're requesting approval to contract between Chandler Unified School District and Southwest Behavioral and Health Services, Inc. 3 separate contracted services between our district and Southwest for CUSD's ability to provide needed comprehensive behavioral health services for our K-6 Opportunity Program, special ed, as well as general education students. The scope of the services are listed for you. Request approval for Southwest with a memorandum of understanding for general education, an agreement for special education, and an agreement for our K-6 Opportunity. Item 4 is 2020-21 Project Benjamin Memorandum of Understanding. It's with the College Success Arizona, which with regards to Project Benjamin was the governing board approved on July 15th, 2020. An amendment has since been drafted to include verbiage regarding opt-in opportunities for students and parents who wish to receive communication with Benjamin. The fifth item is the intergovernmental agreement with Maricopa County Community College District for dual credit, dual enrollment classes. I know the board is familiar with these. Another routine memorandum of understanding is between Chandler Unified School District and the Valley of the Sun YMCA for the iLearn program. In review, this is for our young teens who are at risk for dropping out. It's one of our dropout prevention programs. And the students from all the YMCA Teen and Technology Center serves about 4,000 students from around the valley. We provide them 50% of all ADM is targeted for those students who enroll in the YMCA dropout program. We've seen a moderate increase of CUSD reimbursement from $5.04 to $5.19. This increase will help cover new elective fees and fixed expenses. We have a swimming pool maintenance agreement. It's issued between, we issued an invitation for bid for swimming pool maintenance. The solicitation was advertised for 2 weeks. We sent to 12 vendors. United Pool Maintenance submitted a monthly all-inclusive cost of $5,000, $335 per month. All Season Pool Service submitted a bid of $19,000 per month for an all-inclusive cost. Per the school district procurement rules, mistakes in bid, if an apparent mistake in a bid is relevant to award determination, is discovered after opening and before award, a school district shall contact the bidder for written confirmation of the bid. If the bidder fails to act, the bidder is considered non-responsive, and the school district shall place a written determination that the bidder is non-responsive in the procurement file. The buyer contacted United Pool Maintenance by email to clarify the all-inclusive monthly cost that was submitted. The same vendor had 5 years earlier submitted a bid for the same scope of service in the amount of $14,915 a month. Vendor was to provide a detailed explanation to support the $5,335 per month cost and to explain the large decrease in cost from 5 years ago. The president of United Pool Maintenance replied to the buyer's email but did not provide an explanation as requested. The buyer determined United Pool Maintenance as non-responsive and placed written determination in the procurement file. Recommend that the swimming pool maintenance contract be awarded to All Seasons Pool Service. The swimming pool contract will be for 1 year with option to renew on an annual basis for 4 additional years. Should all renewals be exercised, the final expiration of the contract would be June 30th, 2025. The multi-year contract is advantageous to the district. So we're requesting the board to award the bid to swimming pool maintenance to All Seasons Pool Services in the amount of $250,000 for the year. Item 8 is an extended contracts list was presented to the board on June 10th. The contracts list were missed on that email. Requesting approval for the contracts in the estimated amount of $2,350,000. Any additional years will be on the extended contract list. The combo desk replacements for Willis Junior High and Anderson Junior High, we're requesting approval to purchase 610 combo desks for Anderson and 646 combo desks for Willis. They are requested through the new program budgeting process and will be purchased from school specialty using the Omnia Partners contract. The contract meets procurement guidelines. The total cost with installation is $199,374.07. Elementary technology purchases, we're requesting approval to purchase 930 student technology devices from Apple for a total cost of $756,855.55. These devices will be housed in 31 charging carts and distributed across the 31 elementary sites. There's a memorandum of understanding consent between Chandler Unified School District and ASU Prep Digital. We worked with the program last year with a tremendous amount of success. Request approval of this MOU. This agreement allows us to access the digital learning opportunities in biology, chemistry, and algebra for 2,400 students across 5 high schools and 1 junior high this school year. The learning program has the ability to differentiate for students in real time through the interactive activities and encourages the use of blending learning in an instructional environment. The courses will be hosted on the CUSD Learning Management System utilizing a content licensing model. ASU Digital Prep is also supporting the contact through professional development and on-site coaching for the high school instructors. The total cost is approximately $183,000 for 2,400 students.
Dr. Castillo, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we did have someone that they're having, it doesn't seem as though our microphones are into the feed. Mr. Evans is, but apparently they can't hear, the public can't hear us. I don't know if we have a technology issue here, but before you go further.
No issue. I'm watching the audio levels going higher.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Next, we have an intergovernmental agreement, Maricopa County Human Services. This is our Head Start program, and we've done this for many, many years. The intergovernmental agreement between the Maricopa County administered by its Human Services Department and Chandler Unified School District is attached. Legal counsel has reviewed it. Board approval authorizes the superintendent to take such action and execute such documents to carry out the intention of the agreement. Special education day schools, we're requesting board approval for a not to exceed $5,300,000 for all off-site day schools approved by the Arizona Department of Education. We are making this request in order to be more efficient and assign students in a timely fashion. The expenditures for the 2019-20 school year were $4,940,834. We're recommending approval not to exceed the amount of $5,300,000 for special education day schools, and these are for young folks that we don't have the services directly here in the district. This would be for July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, and we provide the board with updates on a quarterly basis. Finally, our Human Resources, Employment, Separation, and Compensation recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Castillo, and I am sorry I interrupted to make sure that we had our sound working properly. Could I please get a motion to approve our consent agenda?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a
I'll
second?
second.
Okay. All those in favor of our consent agenda, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you. The motion carries. Our first item for this evening is our governing board resolution concerning the COVID-19 district operations. Dr. Castillo.
Madam President, members of the board. Whoops. Madam President, members of the board, we're requesting your approval of the attached resolution. It has been posted for the public. I would start out with a number of families or a number of people contacted us if they could attend the meeting in person or share comments with the board. I wanted to assure the board, the community, that all their emails have been read. They've been provided to the board and shared, so that I think they have quite a bit of, they know the feelings of our community, and these decisions have not been made lightly, but they certainly will share their positions as they vote. This is a resolution in order to comply with the governor's executive orders, and there's quite a few whereases. I'm going to get right down to the governing board is directing and authorizing the superintendent or her designee to take the following actions that comply with Executive Order 2020-51 and the provisions of Executive Orders 2020-41 and 2020-44 that are still in effect. In conformity with Order 1 of the Executive Order 2020-51, the Governing Board approves the return to in-person teacher-led classroom instruction beginning the second quarter if the Arizona Department of Health Services, Maricopa County Health Department's public health benchmarks are met. The board will reevaluate on September 23rd if the criteria has not been previously met. There are a number of other areas where the governing board is delegating the district superintendent to ensure that the teacher-led distance learning instruction begins by the first day, which is today, that our distance learning plan has been submitted to the Arizona Department of Education no later than August 14th. In conformity with Order 3, we are arranging for free on-site learning opportunities and support services for students who need a place to go beginning August 17th. Develop procedures to help the social distancing and other mitigation strategies are implemented. Pursuant to Order 3D, the executive order authorizes the superintendent to apply for a waiver of the requirement to provide free on-site learning if the county health department, in conjunction with the Arizona Department of Health Services, advises the district to close due to COVID-19 outbreak. The conformity of order number 4, we are posting the required notifications, and that process has begun. It also authorizes the superintendent or designee to develop, recommend, implementing a policy related to face coverings and revise the same as needed. It also is delegating to the superintendent that we can determine to pay our employees during a period of school building closure based upon data and information provided the superintendent and other sources that affirm such payments are necessary to properly preserve our trained and qualified workforce, serves in the public purpose for protecting our investment in a workforce, and it is feasible based on the available revenues. The governing board authorizes the superintendent to work with relevant governmental authorities to comply with all laws and regulations. The district regularly practices protocols and procedures as set forth in the governing board policies, administrative regulations, and otherwise may not be reasonable, feasible, or advisable to implement during the COVID-19 outbreak. So the governing board authorizes the superintendent to temporarily suspend compliance with or implementation of the same as needed to comply with applicable laws and regulations. The governing board authorized superintendent to execute any further documentation to effectuate this resolution, including but not limited to any requisite documentation required by the Arizona Department of Education. And to the extent that any provision in this resolution conflicts with or is superseded by enacted federal or state legislation or local ordinances, the district shall comply with these laws and ordinances. I would say the board, there is a commitment on the part of the board and the administration to review this information regularly, and I'm sure we will be discussing it at future meetings with a commitment to come back, I believe it was September 23rd, to really review where we are relative to the metrics. The states to put out their metrics this Friday. There is another county health department meeting which will more specifically define Maricopa County's metrics. It's my understanding the state is doing the broad, bigger indicators we would use for a safe return, and each county is developing theirs related to the specific data available to an individual county or community. So we will look forward to that, and I'm sure at our next meeting we'll have a presentation so that you can see where we are. Also, I forgot to add, the board has requested that the metrics, once the indicators are confirmed, we would have it on our website daily, reporting what we are obtaining from the county website, et cetera.
Thank you, Dr.
Recommend approval.
Thank you, Dr. Castiel. Could I please get a motion for this resolution?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the governing board resolution for COVID-19 district operations as presented by Dr. Castiel.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. Discussion. Who'd like to start first? Mr. Evans, would you like to start first?
Thank you. Madam President, you could hear in Dr. Castiel's voice how hard it is for a professional educator who has 40 plus years to say that we would not have kids in the presence of educators. And I completely understand, and I completely agree. A couple of weeks ago, I said our kids need to be back in school. Our kids need to be back in class. Our teachers, our educators, our professionals, our staff people need to work with and inspire our students. But this is not the time. This is not the time to do that. And as hard as it was for Dr. Castiel to go through that, I think she's looking at the welfare of families, staff, and students. until we have better metrics and a safe way and leadership from the state in order to say that, this is where we are right now and help people understand this is where we are, we can't move forward. But we also can't wait for the state on Friday to come up with another temporary plan. We have to move forward now and allow people the time to prepare. And a lot of people won't be happy about it, but we need to make sure that the 47,000 students and the 5,000 staff members are safe based on what we have to work with right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Who would like to go next? Ms. Love?
I just want to honor what Mr. Evans has said. Like, this was not an easy decision. As a behavioral health professional myself, when kids are not in school, we do consider them to be high risk, but we have to weigh the risks here. And with COVID, there's still a whole lot of unknowns. Even though, we're kind of hearing research about the way that COVID impacts children, we're still largely unsure. And then, of the impact that it'll have on our teachers and some of our multi-generational families, or families period, that live in the same household. We do want children back, but we want children to be back safe, and we want our teachers to be back safe. And one loss is too many at this point to take that risk. So that, I think kind of sums up the way that I will be voting on this resolution tonight.
Mrs. Bruner?
I just wanted to thank everyone in the community who has shared with us their perspective, their experiences, what their children are sharing with it, and even some students who have contacted us. I wanted to thank all the staff members who have reached out to us and shared their perspective. And, we've received well over 1,000 emails in the last 2 months on this topic. And really, I think what it comes down to is two things. One, that we're relying on evidence-informed recommendations from experts in our county, in our state, and in our national government. And two, that we're giving some type of stability to allow educators and families to prepare. And those two do not fit well together. If you want to watch the data every day, then you don't have stability. And if you choose the stability, then you can't jump on a dime and switch things because of a number change in a day or two. And so to weigh these two things is very difficult. And honestly, there's no good answer. No one's going to be happy either way. And unfortunately, even when we do go back, it will not look the same. And I know a lot of people desire that for their kids. And I desire that for my child as well. But this is the best that we can do to protect our community and our staff and our children. And I don't think anyone up here is thrilled with this Sophie's Choice that we have. But this is, in my opinion, the best that we can provide. And then we will look at this again come September in the second board meeting, I believe, to see what direction the numbers are and to give us more information to move forward in second quarter.
Thank you. Mrs. McGee?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm just really going to echo what the other board members had said, that we had certainly hoped to be in class and have our schools open at this time, but our main focus must be on keeping our students and staff safe, and just be assured that we will constantly be monitoring the data for our district and hope that the numbers turn around in our favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. McGee. I've really struggled with having the schools closed because I am deeply committed to providing choices for our families. This eliminates a choice for first quarter, and I am very aware of that. But we are also in a national emergency, a national health crisis, and things are not normal. This state of emergency has not changed. We are in a public health crisis, and because of that, these are extraordinary circumstances that require us to be a responsible employer and a responsible district to protect our employees and our community, the grandparents of the children who are going to school, the other extended family, the aunts and uncles, those who have immunocompromised family members within their homes. And we have to be good community members in order and work together to be able to protect the families in Chandler and Gilbert and Queen Creek and our surrounding communities where we have individuals who have boundary exemptions that include Tempe and Mesa and even areas further out. I read every email with the exception of the ones that came after about 2:30 this afternoon to my email address. And I truly appreciate hearing everyone's comments. This is a very divisive issue, but we do have to put safety first. That is one of our tenets of this district, is putting safety first. And I believe that we cannot abandon that tenet at this point in time. I guess that's really about all I can say at the moment. But I have to support this because it does deal with safety, and especially I am a former registered nurse, and I have seen what happens when people get sick and the devastating consequences to their families. I don't know if anyone else would like to make a comment or not. Okay. So we will go ahead and vote on this item. I was initially going to do a roll call vote, but I don't believe I will go ahead and do that at this point. So all those in favor of approving the governing board resolution concerning COVID-19 district operations, please say aye.
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 Thank you. The motion passes unanimously. Our next item is the Perry High School running track. Mr. Fletcher.
Madam President, members of the board, the Perry High School running track is 14 years old and needs repairs. These repairs include removal and replacement of several sections of the track surface. Once completed, the track will receive a new flood coat, striping, etc. The district has chosen Chase Building Team as the general contractor via a job order contract, which complies with all school procurement rules. The cost of this project is $311,895, and the work will occur concurrently with the Hamilton High School track project. We recommend approval of Chase Building Team for the Perry High School track project in the amount of $311,895. For the board's information, the reason we chose Chase Building Team is the project manager that is going to run this project has performed several track installations across the district with a previous contractor. So we felt more comfortable with that. We recommend your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Do we have any, I guess we need to start with a motion.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the repairs for the Perry High School running track in the amount of $311,895.
With the contractor? Could you mention the contractor too? Could
Chase
you mention the
Building.
contractor also, Chase Building?
Oh, and to use Chase Building as a contractor.
Thank you.
I second.
Is there any discussion? I have a question. Mr. Fletcher, typically how long do our running tracks last before they need to have this type of maintenance or repair?
10 to 15 years.
So 10 to 15, so we're right at near the end of that cycle.
And the life cycle for a new track is typically 20 years.
Okay.
So are you saying this is going to hold us over for about 6 years?
I'm hoping to get 10 out of it.
Do we find that our, the heat of Arizona really breaks down these tracks a whole lot more than, let's say, winter weather?
No, because of how these tracks are built. So the top 3.5 millimeters are 80% polyurethane, 20% rubber, right in there. So they handle the heat very well. The two things that are detrimental to tracks are water, because if they get underneath the top surface, they break the bottom surface and it starts to spider crack, and small rocks or gravel, which you'll see in the Hamilton High School project. We did an add alternate to get rid of that around the track. So those are really the two things that will break a running track down, at least the way we build them, faster than anything.
Great. Are there any other questions? Mr. Evans, do you have any questions?
I'm still here. Sorry about that. No, I have no other questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to check with you since you're not in person with us at this time. So, okay, all those in favor of approving Chase Building Team for the Perry High School track project in the amount of $311,895, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Evans?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously. And Mr. Fletcher, you also have the Hamilton High School running track.
Madam President, members of the board, the Hamilton High School running track is over 20 years old and in need of replacement in totality. A complete removal and replacement will take approximately 3.5 months, start to finish. The cost of this project is $847,256. We are working with Chase Building Team via a job order contract, which complies with all school procurement rules. We recommend approval of Chase Building Team for the Hamilton High School running track in the amount of $847,256.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Could I please get a motion from a board member?
Madam President, I make a motion to recommend approval of Chase Building Team for the Hamilton High School track project in the amount of $847,256.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. McGee. Discussion. Well, Mr. Fletcher, I'll just go ahead and say, please talk to us about those little rocks.
Again, Madam President, the two things that will ruin a running track is water getting underneath the surface and rocks that penetrate the surface. So once you penetrate that top 3.5 millimeters, the water then can get down, break the bottom half, 8.5 millimeters, which causes a spider cracking, and it will cause deterioration of the track at a very rapid rate. So in this instance, this track is 22 years old. It is time to be replaced, but we would also like to remove all the decomposed granite that's around the track and replace that with concrete, so we will get another 20 to 25 years out of the new running track.
And could you also talk about the water mitigation things that you're going to be utilizing at this track too? I think there was some roof runoff areas that need to be...
Once we pull the running track, we will again shoot the grade. We will also flood coat the asphalt to make sure that the track is draining correctly. If we have any low spots, it'll be addressed at that time. Then once we have the civil engineer's approval, we will slope the running track with the first 8.5 millimeters of basically 80% rubber, 20% polyurethane, and then we will flood coat the top with 3.5 millimeters of 80% polyurethane, 20% rubber. And again, it will all be shot at the end by a civil engineer to make sure that all the slopes and grades are draining the water away from the track.
Okay, I see that there's some removal of existing fencing to improve drainage and to redirect the field house roof drain leaders to keep the water off the track. Have these been causing excess deterioration in those areas, or?
So if you look at where the arrows are for B and C on the attachment, we have to redirect those drains so the water is not running towards the track. So we're going to bring the drains to the south and dump the water into the retention basin.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Bruner.
I just had a question regarding, you mentioned, I believe, cement on the edges, maybe? Does that have any negative consequences for impact or safety or anything like that?
It shouldn't unless somebody pushes somebody into the fence. The fence is in let's call it the right of way.
Okay.
It's not that close to the actual running surface.
Okay. If there's no additional questions, Mr. Evans, did you have any questions concerning the Hamilton running track?
No, I guess I just was a little curious about the rocks, and are people carrying rocks onto the track for some reason, or where does that come from? And I guess with your 27 years experience building, have you seen this before, Mr. Fletcher?
So the way, anytime you cross the DG area to get to the running track, you're going to bring some of the small rocks onto the track. If the school is not maintaining the track by blowing it down once a week or several times a week, then you can get those penetrations. And I would say, yes, this is typical in my 27 years. Now 28, by the way.
I do have one other question. Typically, the running tracks are around the football field,
Correct.
and our football players have cleats on
Correct.
their shoes. Does this damage the surface?
The
like
schools
little
put a
dots
surface
do?
down as the football players are coming from the locker room to cross the track so that they do not penetrate the polyurethane top coat.
Thank you. I was wondering what kind of protocols we have to.
Plywood, carpet, anything that just won't allow the cleats to penetrate.
Thank you very much. And I assume really those are only used for the games rather than, I mean, there's not a lot of practices that are done on those on the football fields, the competition fields, due to the fact that we like to.
We do try to limit the competition fields for practice. That is correct.
Okay, great. If there's no other questions, we can go ahead and vote on this. All those in favor of approving Chase Building Team for the Hamilton School Track Project in the amount of $847,256, please say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. Our next, we have an information item, and this will be our private day tuition expenditures for quarter 4 of the 2019-2020 school year. Mr. Rothard, where are you? Oh, there you are.
Yes, I'm sorry. This is
This is the list of private day school tuition expenditures for the 2019-20 school year, and the list is provided there for your review.
Do any board members have any questions? Mrs. Brunner?
I was just curious, now that the fourth quarter has processed through, the impact of the new special education program building that was created had on this, if at all? Do we have that information?
I don't have that available. I can definitely get it for you, though.
Okay.
Send it to you.
So this is a kind of an interesting question.
Sure.
We were shut down for fourth quarter, and we had no in-person classes. Why do we have the kind of expenditure which is higher than Q3? Why do we have that much of an expenditure when the kids have not been attending those facilities?
Mr. Rother,
Yes.
do you need some help?
Yes, please.
Okay.
This was not my realm last
The-
quarter, so.
Sorry, Mr.
The
Rother.
districts,
That's okay.
as you recall, the districts were held harmless. We still received our funding, and so we were obligated under contract. And the private day schools had to keep their employees as well involved. So we met our obligations because the state was giving us the funds to operate. So we didn't think it was fair to not provide them the obligation that we had for those young people.
I do believe.
Is that correct, Ms. Baird? Did I get that right?
That is correct. We were required to pay them for the services received for special education because they were still educating and required to educate our students till the fourth quarter. The only thing we didn't pay the private days was we did have a little bit of transportation to and from, and that was the only piece that was not allowed by statute since they weren't providing transportation at the time. They were not providing that service. So, and then the fourth quarter, the numbers are going to be higher because at that point we've sent, that's usually your highest number of students by the time they've been identified, and the number that are going to those specific private days. So typically that's higher. And the other piece too that I wanted to mention was we can get you numbers on our new school that we have. We have a number of students who attended that school who came from our schools that would have had to go to an outsourced because our numbers in special education, just like in regular education, are increasing. And so we had a number of students who we would have had to outsource if we did not have that facility within Chandler Unified. And so Dr. Marshall has done a fantastic job of placing those students, also bringing some of the students back from private day, and those numbers have grown over the year. A lot of parents wanted to, I believe, check out the school, make sure it was okay before they brought their children to it as it started last year. And so we can definitely, like Mr. Rother had said, bring you information related to that.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
One additional question is, as I recall, a few years ago, we typically had close to, 200 students that were in private day. And so right now I see we are under 140. So I'm assuming that that difference, if my memory serves me correctly, are the students that are now in our own facility.
That's true. And then also, if you recall, at Chief Hill, we had outsourced the Simpatico at that time, and we took that back on as a district. And so we have a program at Hill that we run now. We had outsourced it at one point. Our first step was to take that program back on. Second phase was we opened our own school, and we're able to serve those students. So there's a combination.
And we have this amount, I believe, has been fairly constant over the years. So I'm also assuming that the private day tuition has gone up significantly over the last few years.
Yes, I definitely. And as salaries have increased throughout Arizona, that's part of that too. So yes, we've done a good job of maintaining that. And I do think that Dr. Marshall and her team do a good job of trying to maintain those costs as best possible and try to put students in the best school that fits their needs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Evans?
Thank you. Actually, yes, it was directed to who was it directed to? Who was just speaking? Was that Mrs. Berry? Oh, Mrs. Berry. So you just mentioned the costs, increased costs, and were you speaking partly of payroll increases because of the minimum wage to some of those organizations?
I would say minimum wage, and then I'd always say the cost of living with inflation, and then trying to keep up with salaries. Some of those schools, they're privately owned. Some are, some could be publicly owned, but most are privately owned, and they're trying to keep up with the same cost to attract teachers in their schools as public schools are too. So I don't know the exact raises of private schools. They're not required to be posted like they are with us on the front of our expenditure budgets. However, I'm sure to be competitive in that market that their salaries have increased, not only with their classified with Prop 206, but also with their certified salaries. And the same thing with their services, speech pathology, psychology services, all the services received at those schools.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If there's no more questions, we'll go to the student activity report. Mrs. Berry.
Madam President, members of the board, the student activity report for months ending July of 2020 through July of 2020, so for 1 month of this fiscal year, is provided for information.
Are there any questions? Mr. Evans, a question?
No, thank you.
And this is just for 1 month?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And with that, we will move on to our superintendent, Dr. Castille's comments. Dr. Castille.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. I'd like to start by thanking all the staff who have put in countless hours, and I'm not going to name names because we would be here all night. But certainly starting with our support staff, all our technicians, the administrators, the teachers, the countless hours of training they've gone through. Many of them were flexible and willing to do a last-minute change to help us accommodate the numbers and the courses. And I'm honored to work with such a professional group of teachers and employees here in the district. And I know it's only going to get better from here. I know that tonight's action to delay the start of the school year has disappointed and concerned and probably angered some parents and students. And I think the board said it. This wasn't a voting contest or who got the most emails in. I know the board and I and my staff read them all, and it came down to the risks for our children, and basically you heard what the resolution is to delay until the start of the second quarter with our eye on the metrics in hopes that we can reach those targets as soon as we know what they are. I've understood some parents are thinking of withdrawing or going to withdraw. I hope you give it some time and think about it before you take that step. We certainly don't want to lose you as a part of our Chandler Schools family, but certainly would respect your right as a parent to do that. Tonight I've used that P word. I've asked everybody to be patient. I'm not going to do it anymore because you have been the ultimate of patience. For the last several months, you've been more than patient. And so I thank you for that. Today, it depends who you talk to and what email you opened. Some thought this was absolutely the best day ever. Got even some cute notes and cute little things from kids and teachers. And some of you thought this was an abysmal failure. And I know that it's almost like that every year in a regular start. And those of you that have ever been in a high school and everybody wants their classes changed or their lunch schedule changed, this was just magnified a bit. We know we still have some class schedules to get out. We're still trying to shift things with 46,000 children making changes, and we did have to put a stop to that because the target kept moving and we couldn't land on a final decision relative to staff or the classes. Again, I'm not going to ask you to be patient with us. I'm asking you to give it a few days and keep us informed. We have a help desk, a command center in this room, as a matter of fact, of over 12 people answering questions. If you don't get an answer, it's because they're on the line with somebody else. Please call again. Our Chandler Online have 8 help desk people over there, so we have 20 people trying to respond, and they've talked to a number of children, helping them learn how to log in, and a number of our parents needed some assistance, and we're here to help you. We do have an opportunity, I received countless emails asking us for an opportunity to test staff and students to see where we are. Well, lo and behold, there is a test opportunity that's coming to Hamilton High. We're going to house it there. It's something that's been offered to us. We didn't contract. It's been offered to us. Embry Women's Health is coming to Hamilton High. It'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Information is going out. I understand the company is promoting it now. You can go on and pre-register. They will be open 24 hours for the 3 days. They'll be open all night long, which I find amazing. I don't know that I'd be awake enough. This is a self-administered nasal swab. It's the PCR. It's supposed to be the most effective, reliable test. They're saying 24 to 48 hours. It's my understanding that they're getting caught up and getting that kind of turnaround coming, which will be very, very helpful. I would encourage members of our community. It's open to anybody. They have a number of sites. If you haven't been tested, you might want to think about it. Peace of mind and help us know what is our positivity and what is the rate in Chandler, and maybe it's far better than we know with the more tests we receive. Finally, a bit of very nice news. We have a very special teacher in our midst, Chandler High School, Sarah Wiffles, and she is one of the top 10 finalists for Teacher of the Year, Arizona Education Foundation, and she's going to the next level of competition where she will be taping a lesson, and it might be kind of interesting to see how she's doing it remotely. But she's delightful, has been part of our equity movement, and we're excited that she made the final cut for top 10. So we'll keep you posted on that, but that was a bit of good news today. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board.
Thank you, Dr. Castillo. I guess we now have our school board comments. Ms. Love, do you have something?
I don't have much, but I do want to say thank you to Embry Women's Clinic for providing these tests. I know that I've sent my own staff to get tested through them, and they've gotten in at late hours, because we work pretty late hours. They've gotten in, I think, as late as 11 o'clock. And some of them have gotten the results back fairly quickly, so I want to thank them. And I also want to thank Dr. Castile, the cabinet, admin, teachers, support staff, because I know this process has not been easy for them to adapt to. But, we did get a lot of emails about first day struggles, some first day successes. And, I have all of the confidence and faith in, CUSD staff as a team to figure this out. So thank you. That's all I have to say right now. I don't really have much.
Thank you. Karen, did you?
I did not.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura?
I also just wanted to thank all the families who are doing everything they can to support their children in the virtual learning environment, which, can be quite challenging, especially with the youngest students. And I also wanted to thank the teachers, the counselors, the help desk folks and the IT folks, the administration and Dr. Castile, who are making the very best out of a very challenging situation. Everyone's poured in so much work and so many hours, and folks getting training even before their contracts started, and the patience that everyone has given when you receive a nasty email. I'm just so impressed with how professional and how supportive you are, even when people are at their wits' end. And I just wanted to also thank all the board members too for pouring all your time into those thousands of emails when you get paid $0, and dedicate all this time. And just wanted to thank everyone involved.
Thank you, Mrs. Bruner. Mr. Evans?
Thank you, Madam President. A couple of things. First of all, I wanted to send, I know we all do, send our condolences to the family of Kerry Crossfight, who lost his life to a battle with COVID-19. He's an educator and swim coach at Chandler High School, and I saw him like 4 times a year on stage at Chandler Center for the Arts to congratulate him on being stellar and being amazing, and for his teams doing so well. And but just a phenomenal person. I know Mrs. Mawson worked really closely with him because you had your own kids who swam with him. So another second one to Chandler High School is to Sarah Weisholtz, who just as my son had her as a teacher, but I've been in contact with her a lot over the past couple of months trying to figure out the struggle over what we do, how we get where we need to be for our students and families. And so I wish her the best of luck, but she's amazing. And Chandler High guys always do great things. Next, I bet I would be willing to bet there are already nasty emails in my inbox right now. But here's my commitment, and I think I'm the first one not to sound very discouraged by the decision we all just made, because we make decisions as a community, we make decisions as a team, and we make decisions for not only the 47,000 students we work with, but also for our staff members and their families. And we make decisions not about us, but about who we serve and who we care about. And to me, that's the most important thing. So sure, there'll be emails saying thank you, but there'll be plenty of emails saying negative things. But here's what I'm going to try to not do. I'm going to try to remember that I was elected to be a board member to serve our community and to work with City Council and other organizations to serve all of the people of Chandler. I'm proud of it. I'm happy of it. I'm happy with the decisions we have to make. Here's what I'm not happy with. I'm not happy with the fact that there are people who are forced to figure out how they go to work to support their families. Many of them are educators. How do you support your family, your child who's home and needing help with his schoolwork because he can't go to school right now because of a decision we made? That's frustrating. What if you're an employee who relies on being at work and punching in every day? And you have kids at home too, and you now got to go out and look for another job when there are no jobs because so many people are out of work right now. This is a really hard decision to make because I know that so many people are hurting and in dire straits and not able to figure out a way to make all these pieces fit. But we are not making you less healthy or putting harm in your way in terms of COVID-19. So I will try to remember that when I respond to people who have negative feelings, that I'm responding as a board member, and I'm going to keep my individual and personal thoughts and maybe animosity, maybe the anger I feel, or maybe I'm going to keep that to myself and respond as a person who was hired, not hired because I work for free, but who was brought on by community support. And the rest of the stuff, that you know what, this is not personal. And if you want to create that, then plan on not hearing from me on paper because I'm not having you put it out there somewhere else for somebody else to see when you're going to totally take my content. So I'm going to respond respectfully as a board member. I'm going to work with our administration to try to get kids the best possible education we can. We're going to make mistakes, but we're going to do better because we're Chandler, we always do. We're going to make this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. I guess it's time for me to say some things. We are all in this together. These were very difficult decisions tonight, and I know that we are not going to please everyone with the decisions that we made. But moving forward, I believe that we have to look at how we can make the best of this. How we can allow families to be able to plan and relieve that uncertainty for the next several weeks, or at least until the end of this quarter, so that they have time to make some plans and figure out what they're going to do. That was one of the biggest themes that I got through a lot of the emails, is that there were a lot of families that were very anxious about the uncertainty as to what was going to happen after August 17th. With the plans in place, we all have, it's not normal anymore. COVID has changed just our whole social fabric of the country. Not only the country, but of Arizona, of Maricopa County, and of our local community in Chandler. We see other districts around us that have made a very similar decision as we have, based on science, based on the best metrics that we have, and the vast amount of unknowns that we still are investigating about what is going on with the COVID-19 virus and how it impacts adults, children, teens, the elderly. And we just don't know at this point. I would much rather err on the side of caution than err on the side of devastation and pain and lifelong health issues or even death. I think that it has already impacted me greatly to have someone that I have known pass away from this awful disease, and that was Carrie Crosswhite. I don't think any family should have to deal with this, and the devastation they must feel with the loss of a loved one is just beyond imagination. I do not personally want to feel responsible for causing someone to get infected because of what we do here as a school district. We don't need to inflict that upon anyone. That said, I do believe that we can move forward with hope and resolution to help our students not only achieve academically, but also to help with their social emotional needs. We all have to get used to this. It's a different way of doing things. It's not the same, and we're all going to need to adapt to these different circumstances. Children are very adept at adapting in general. There are definitely some that have difficulties with that, but in general, kids adapt very, very well. And our role as adults is to help them adapt to these changing circumstances. And we all can do that and help them to get a fantastic education. Give the district a chance, give the online and virtual learning a chance to work. We are definitely going to go through a few glitches here and there. And there's going to be tears in families and frustrated people, but it will work out. please reach out for help to our helplines if you are having trouble with your online learning. We have the resources here to help you so that you can access the curriculum and access learning and even that socialization online. But I think we can all work together, and our commitment is to our students. Please help us help you to get the things that you need for your child. I've also received a lot of emails and phone calls from community members regarding opinions that have been expressed by individual board members. I want to make it clear that the comments shared by individual board members do not represent the opinions of the governing board as a whole or the administration. As we have posted on our website, the Chandler Unified School District Governing Board, like many elected bodies, contain many diverse opinions and ideas. Individual board members retain their First Amendment rights to free speech. However, personal comments do not represent the official position of the district. An individual school member's authority over school matters comes from casting a vote as a member of the governing board at an official governing board meeting, just like we have had here this evening. I would like you to keep that in mind as we move forward. That concludes our meeting for this evening, and have a good evening. Good night. Meeting is adjourned.